Hi, welcome to another edition of Only in Illinois, the weekly video recap from RebootIllinois.com. I'm Madeline Dubeck.
And I'm Matt Dietrich, editor of Reboot Illinois.
And this week, the state of Illinois actually took out a loan, in essence, correct, Matt? What are they going to do with that?
We sold $800 million worth of bonds, and it's for much-needed road construction, bridge maintenance, all kinds of infrastructure-type projects. It's an important thing that every state has to do. And this is a great time to do these big projects because interest rates are at historically low levels. Unfortunately for Illinois, because we have the worst credit rating of all 50 states in the country, we don't get to celebrate our low interest rate that we get. What we get to celebrate is the fact that we're only going to pay $10 million more a year in interest than our neighbor to the north, Wisconsin, would have paid, because Wisconsin has a AA credit rating. So it's cost all taxpayers another $10 million every year in interest.
And in the big scheme of things, though, in a big $35 billion state budget, it's not a huge deal.
$10 million is not a huge part of a $35 billion budget. In fact, $10 million is 1% of $1 billion. So if you're looking at it in the context of the entire budget, it is 1/135th of 1% of our state budget. But at the same time, we have people who are waiting 5 months at a time to get paid for work that they've done for the state. $10 million
would make a lot of those payments.
They could pay a lot of those $100,000 bills that the state owes to service providers and places like that.
And this is all a result of the pension crisis in Illinois, the fact that we have the low credit rating and that we have to pay that additional penalty anytime we take out a loan. And we were talking about this last night in Batavia. We had a kind of a town hall meet and greet, and one of our rebooters there asked you a question about the cost of living adjustments and where they came from and when.
It was a great question because right now in Illinois, members of the state retirement systems, there are 5 major statewide retirement systems, every year get a 3% cost of living adjustment or raise on their pension, and it's compounded annually. It's not simple interest, it's compounded interest, which means a $30,000 pension in 20 years under simple interest is $48,000. When you compute it using compound interest, it's $54,000. That's a big difference. That's the biggest driver of the costs that keep escalating and have gotten us into such serious trouble.
So the question was about when that began. It
began in 1989 with a more wide and broad pension bill that had all kinds of things in it, and it was really almost an afterthought. It wasn't the major portion of the 1989 pension bill. On my blog, on our website, I have a link to an excellent Chicago Tribune story that tells the whole history of this bill with some fascinating quotes, because there were warnings back then that, you know, a 3% compounded annual cost of living adjustment could get you in big trouble in a few years. Well, it's a few years later and we're in big trouble.
We're in big trouble only in Illinois. That's our show for this week. Pensions will come up again next week as the legislature returns to work after a 2-week break. Check out Matt's blog and check out our pension petition if you haven't signed it yet at RebootIllinois.com/pension crisis, and we'll see you again next week.